From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Bob Staake, who, among other things, created this year's poster art for the book festival. You probably recognize his style. He's illustrated and/or written more than 60 books, including The Red Lemon, Bluebird, The Donut Chef, and a story set right here in Washington, The First Pup, the real story of how Bo got to the White House. He has also illustrated numerous New Yorker covers, including the iconic image commemorating President Obama's election. His latest book is My Pet Book, which is perfect for this occasion. And it's a delightful tale in which he answers the question that so many parents have, is what would be the most hassle-free pet that you could buy? And it is not a goldfish, as I've learned from experience. But the child in this book decides that he would like to have a book as a pet, and he picks up a trusty red hardcover, and he loves it, and he totes it around like a puppy, and he imagines himself inside of the story. And after reading it to your child, you may find yourself, as I did, looking for a leash to tie around this very book. So to tell you more about this book and all of his work, here is Bob Staake.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out. I always insist on having hand puppets when I speak, so this would be good. Once we get to the bunny, it's pretty exciting. My name is Bob Staake, and I am a children's book author and illustrator. And I used to live in D.C., in Cleveland Park, and I went up to Cleveland Park last night, and boy, Cleveland Park has really changed. I mean, I worked at for the Student Press Law Center, which was a group funded by the Robert F. Kennedy Memorial, and we worked at 1700 Pennsylvania, and I would walk from 1700 to Macomb in Connecticut. That was before the Red Lane came in, so it's always a delight to be in D.C. and actually be able to get from place to place without having to hoof it. I'm here tethered today with a cord right here. Don't mind this cord, kids, okay? Strictly doctor's orders, okay? To talk to you about my new book, which is called My Pet Book, okay? And people ask me, they always say, Bob, what comes first, the pictures or the writing? Well, in the case of My Pet Book, and let me get this, I'm scared like crazy to actually trip up here. All I did was I did a drawing of a little kid walking a book. I just thought, what the heck? Fun, right? Huh? You wanted a bunny? You wanted a bunny, right? I said, we'll do the book. It'll sell better. I thought, can I write a story about a kid who has a book as a pet? Now, a book like this, I write in a poem. And the reason I like to write in a poem is because it forces you to go down different streets that you would never, ever imagine. When you write cat, what rhymes with cat? Kids? Yeah, go ahead. Hat, exactly. Okay? So it forces you to go ahead and write in ways that you normally would never write. Okay? So that's why I like to write in poem. Because I think some of the magic about a book like this is when the rhymes are a little bit forced. Okay? Where they are a little bit kind of quirky. Okay? So how about if I read you this book called My Pet Book? Okay? All right? Let's do that. Okay. Now, I'm going to try and do this thing right here. I think we have enough cord. Do you think? Maybe I can take, maybe in front of that, yeah, right. Getting back's always the hard part. I'm over here, people. Oh, wait, and also, could I get the, I've got the remote up there on the, there we go. If I go too far out to sea, you'll never get me back. This is the book. My pet book. What comes first, the drawing or the pictures? Well, in this case, the pictures. I thought, let's go ahead and do that. That's the cover. My Pet Book by Bob Staake. And it is dedicated, I've written so many books that I've run out of friends, okay? To every child who loves a special book. I like to dedicate my books to quirky individuals that make you kind of go to Google and say, who the heck is Frederick whatever? I dedicated a book of mine called Look a Book to the two observers on the Titanic who failed to see the iceberg. Most pets, you know, are cats and dogs. Go out and take a look. But there's a boy in Smarty Town whose pet is a little book. He never cared for puppy dogs, and kittens made him sneezy. He pleaded with his mom and dad, I want a pet that's easy. A book would make the perfect pet, he heard his mother say. And Dad had read that no pet book had ever run away. I like doing things like this in the background of like Grandpa and Grandma and things like that. My art has a real retro feel. I think that's why it appeals to adults, because it looks somehow reminiscent of what we grew up reading. So they strolled right past a pet store, local neighborhood bookopolis. I couldn't use politics and prose. They threatened to sue. I'm not kidding. Seriously, no, I'm kidding. So they strolled right past the pet store to a shop with books for sale. Not one had whiskers, furs, or fleas, or a waggy little tail. How could the boy pick out just one? Too tough for this book lover. But then a small book caught his eye. A frisky red hardcover. Of all the books within the store, he liked this one a lot. The page is crisp, the printing fine, its spine, this is the spine of a book, so very taut. He didn't need to give his pet a name like Rex or Spot. It wouldn't answer anyway, and so the book was bought. It never ate, it never drank, it couldn't do a trick, it never shed, it had no fleas, it couldn't fetch a stick. It never needed bathing and its ears would never droop. But best of all, that little pet, it didn't even poop. You see how I took care of the whole pooping issue right here? That tree came in really handy. This was actually the, when you pitch a book to Random House or whoever your publisher is, you write your story, you've got a sample cover, and you usually have a couple sample spreads. This was the first sample spread for My Pet Book, because I thought I better get the poop thing out of the way right now so they know I can handle it. A better pet you couldn't have for graceful evening strolls. It wasn't like those ill-bred dogs that drink from toilet bowls. Who has a dog that drinks from a toilet? Raise your hand. Huh? Do you have a sister or a brother who drinks from the toilet? Guys? No? Work with me, please? It wasn't like those ill-bred dogs that drink from toilet bowls, or like a cat that always sleeps or won't turn off its purr. A pet book never makes a sound and doesn't lick its fur. See, I even got the dog drinking out of the toilet, huh? Another fine moment in my literary career. Inside the book were many tales of awesomeness and glory. The boy imagined as he read that he was in the story. For you adults, I will tell you that that line right there of awesomeness and glory, my editor and I at Random House fought like crazy for that. We had other people saying, you can't use that line, you can't use that line. So anytime Kirkus or Publishers Weekly or anyone mentions this line, we always go ahead and push it under their noses saying, see, they liked Awesomeness and Glory. So we have, here's what he's thinking of. He's reading his book right here. You got a dragon, you got an octopus in the sea, you got a rocket ship. What's not to love, right? The boy would leave his pet book home. When off to school he'd go. But one day when the boy returned, the book was gone. No, you have to say it really loud, really dramatic. Here we go. The book was gone? No. The book was gone? Exactly. Oh, no. He ran away. The boy began to bleat. How could a pet book run away without a pair of feet? The maid could hear the crying boy. That sound was such a rarity. I think I know what happened, Gulp. I gave your book to charity. While cleaning out the house of junk, the maid had grabbed a box and filled it full of household things like cups and plates and socks. The pet book must have simply been swept up while on the floor. And then the maid took box and all straight to the old thrift store. They raced downtown in hopes that they would find it on a shelf, just sitting there waiting near a dusty Christmas elf. There's a dusty Christmas elf right there. Got to point him out too. It wasn't hanging with the coats or sitting with the chairs. The pet book wasn't with the lamps or snoozing with stuffed bears. Of course they went through all the books, the new ones and the old. That looks like it, but I think it says My Little Kitty or something like that. The pet book wasn't anywhere. It must have just been sold. Oh, no. It's getting worse and worse by the page. They slumped down on a musty couch. In unison they cried. But then the maid leaned in and asked, where would a pet book hide? The boy had never thought of that. He broke into a smile. He remembered something he had seen in the dog and cat stuff aisle. If I were just a scared pet book, I'd likely sneak in here. Perhaps the dark would make me hide and almost make me disappear. What is that, kids? It's a doghouse. Then with his hand, the boy reached in to feel around each nook, and then he pulled it out to see. He found his lost pet book. It's been a while since I've read this. I like to change it up just to, keep engaged. I blame it on the baby, but she's out of the room now. They drove back home, the three of them. The pet book checked for wear. The boy was quite relieved to find not one torn page was there. A crazy day they'd had indeed, yet the story ended well. And now the boy and his pet book had their very own tale to tell. The boy's mom gently asked him how a book could bring such joy. It's 'cause every book's a friend, said the yawning little boy. His eyes were sleepy from the search and all the time it took. But now the boy could dream all night with his lost and found pet book. Now let's see if I can do the stage thing in reverse. Do I go like this? Backwards like this and across here, maybe through there. A little hook up there. Where's the timekeeper? Right there. What number you got? Nothing? Really? Could you hold it up to the audience? Let's see how you rate my performance. Okay. She's a Bulgarian judge. Nora was very kind. Nora, you mentioned this book, right? Bluebird? Okay, this was a book that I did last year, and I was on the road promoting. That's the way things roll at Random House. You promote this book this year. Last year, it's like, okay, we did this. But Bluebird was different in that it had no words. I did dedicate it to John James Audubon for obvious reasons. But this story was written completely with no words. You're going to have a tough time. You are really going to have a tough time with this one, I'll tell you right now. Oh man, this could be one for the books right here. And then, but anyway, this was a fun story, and I like to go ahead with every book that I do. I really like to mix it up. I like to make sure that the last book that I did is completely different from the previous one. Now, let me tell you another story before we get to some questions, because I want to do a couple drawings here, and I want to get to questions, because I think the questions are the best part. Let's see if I can do this, because I just see disaster about to happen here. Nora also mentioned a book I wrote called The First Pup. Does everybody remember when Obama won the first time, like in, 2007 or something like that? And he had a speech in Chicago, said, "You girls have been so great. You have got that puppy when we get to D.C., right?" Everyone remembers that? I called my agent and I said, "You know, if I was a really sneaky you-know-what, I'd write that picture book right now. Even though they haven't picked a dog, we have no clue if it's going to be a Great Dane, a St. Bernard, a Chihuahua, or, you name it, Golden Retriever, whatever. But I could do the book. And then when they pick the dog, I'll put that dog on the cover." A very major publisher, and I'm not going to say their name, because I've been around long enough to know that I really shouldn't be doing that. But Rupert Murdoch owns them. They said, "We love the story. We love the story." Hi, Mary. Mary's my former publicist at Random House that I miss so much. Please clap for her so she'll get back on my team. Please. Thank you, Mary. Come back to Random House, dear. She's at Farrar, Straus, Giroux right now, and I'm doing a book for them, so we'll be back together. But anyway, this publisher said, "We love this story. We just wish it was told more from the perspective of the dog." I said, wait, let me get this straight. You mean the dog they haven't picked? The dog that doesn't exist? We don't know if it's going to come from a kennel, if it's going to be a purebred, if he's going to fall down from the sky. We have no idea. So I said, forget it. I don't want to do this book. It's crazy. Well, then the Obamas go ahead and they do pick a dog. They pick what type. Raise your hand if you know what breed Bo is. Tell me. What was that? Oh, let me write that down. I got that wrong. That's why the book did so poorly. I had a Chihuahua. Hang on. Okay, so he's a Portuguese water dog. The New Yorker calls up and says, "Bob, do you have any ideas? Any ideas whatsoever for a cover about the Obamas picking this dog?" And I said, well, I tried to go ahead and, I had this picture book right here, and I have a cover. I have a couple spreads. They looked at the cover. They said, "We love it." If you go to my site, bobstack.com, you'll see this cover, or the New Yorker site. They said, what if we just went ahead and made Bo, the dog, a little bit smaller on the north lawn of the White House? I said, okay, fine. So I did that. That became the cover for the New Yorker. The New Yorker always goes ahead and runs these stories about the cover. And this story about this Bo cover started out saying, Bob Stack, who is still shopping around his book about Bo, the White House dog. I said, I'm not shopping around a book about the White House dog. That idea died 12 months ago. Well, once Midtown New York saw that, I had 9 publishers coming to me saying, we really want you to do that book. And it got to the point where we had all these publishers looking at this book saying they loved the idea because now we had picked up the dog. But my feeling about it was it's just way too late. It's way too late. You've got other books that have anticipated this whole thing. It got to the point where it got so completely crazy that my wife said, no. You really need to do this book. My agent said, no, you really need to do this book. And I said, this will be the biggest flop of my life. and I did the book, and it became the biggest flop of my life. So thank you very much. I'm out of here. Okay. No, I'm not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you kids something, okay? Maybe adults at the same time. Do you think that pictures are language? Just say yes, play along. And I promise you that when I'm done here, if I don't fall off the stage or strangle myself, I'll convince you that they truly are. Okay, so raise your hand. Adults can play along too. If you've ever been to a zoo. I'd walk by it every day in 1976. Was not responsible for any of that panda stuff that goes on up there. Okay, so we've all been to the zoo, right? That's the ground. I'm going to draw 5 animals with 1 line apiece, and you will immediately know what they are. Think I can do it? Who said no? I do a weekly illustration for the Washington Post called the Style Invitational. Okay, now I'm really off stage. But there's a nice contingent here of Washington Post people here, so I think they're probably going to be doing their best to heckle me. So if I ask, do you think I can pull this off, they'll probably scream no, you know. All right, so anyway, where are we? A zoo. What's that line? The ground. Okay, so what's this animal? If that's the ground and we're at the zoo, what's that animal? A giraffe. You're absolutely right. Now, how the heck could that be a giraffe? Okay, all right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right, so we're at the zoo. That's the ground. What animal's that? What animal's this? See, it's always a smart crowd in D.C. You got all the free museums and everything like that. What kid isn't going to know that that's not an elephant? Okay, so we're at the zoo. Now it gets tougher, okay? And this works better in Florida. Ricky, you might be able to get this. Okay, so we're at the zoo. That's the ground. What animal's that? What animal's that? Okay, what animal's this? Wow, we really are in the smart crowd here. These are the smart seats. Absolutely, that's an alligator. Okay, so now we have a what's this? A snake. Okay, now, so we have a what's this? Oh, no one ever gets the bird. You guys are so good. Okay, so what does this tell us? Look, all your friends, raise your hand if you're in the 6th grade. Raise your hand if you're in the 7th grade. Raise your hand if you're in the 8th grade. No 8th graders here. If we brought in all the 8th graders from your school, where do you go to school, buddy? Okay. No, I like their math program. I really do. I don't like to give them any more publicity. If we brought in every 8th grader from your school and said, what is this? They'd have no clue, right? They would have no clue because it's up to you as a reader to go ahead and know from your experiences, right? From your experiences that means tall. That's a giraffe. That has a curly Q at the end. That means elephant. That has kind of a jaggy thing right there. That's got to be alligator. Curvy thing, that's got to be snake. And of course, in the air, it's got to be a bird. So, pictures are language, okay? That's what we do as picture book authors. So, if I can leave you with that message right there, that's great. I would love to take some questions if you have some. Anybody have a question? You, young man.
What inspires a donut chef, and what's your favorite donut?
I wrote a book in, it had to be about 2007 or something. I did a book called The Donut Chef that was the book after a book I did called The Red Lemon. And the Donut Chef actually started out being a story called the Donut Bagel War, okay? Because I wanted to show this war between a bagel shop on one corner and a donut shop on the other, and nobody could tell the difference between them, okay? Again, I think the rhyme, I mean, I try, in that book I try and tell a universal truth. In the Red Lemon, the universal truth is, don't judge a book by its cover. You know, the red lemons turn out to be 7 times sweeter than all the yellow lemons. In the Donut Chef, it's less is more. In the end, little Debbie Sue does not want all the crazy fangled donuts. She wants a simple glazed donut. And so that's the message there. Truth be told, I like all those crazy donuts, you know. So I had a really kind of tough time, you know. It's like, you know, I had to come up with weird names like, you know, I don't know, peach, gooseberry, pomegranate, fudge, red velvet. This is the first time she's ever done that combination of words, okay? Ever. See, I like that, okay? But so, you know, sometimes you have to go ahead and just do something different for the story. Anyone else? Yeah, buddy?
I have 2 questions.
Are you a Vikings fan? Like a real Vikings fan? Oh, just a shirt. There's our answer. Okay, what's your name first? Jerry. Okay, Jerry, what's your question, buddy?
With the My Book book, I'm really interested in the type of like very quick, sort of really cartoony illustration type.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering where you got that from.
Well, at the ripe age of 97, I've been doing this for a long time. So, you know, I mean, people always ask, they say, how long did that drawing take you to do? And a smart illustrator always says, oh, you know, 55 years, okay? What you do is, okay, just like I showed you with the drawings of the giraffes and the elephants and stuff like that, you know what staccato is? Quick. You know when you watch a video, does MTV still have music videos? Okay, you see a music video and it's edited quick, okay? It's like bing, bing, bing. Well, that's the same way with illustration, okay? I mean, if I can go ahead and look at just the expression on this woman's face right here, the maid's face, and the kid's face. She's basically saying, she's basically doing that. Just by her gesture of her hand and the gesture of her eyes and everything like that, okay? Same thing with the boy. He's sad, but he's got a moment of recollection. Okay, now we have another sign, okay? My performance has suddenly gone to a... So let's get a couple quick ones. Anyone else? Yeah, you, buddy.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book? Oh, gee. Well, you know, someone asked me that today. I like a book that you probably haven't heard of by Charles Bukowski called Post Office. And I also like J.D. Salinger, and I love David Sedaris and all these wonderful writers and stuff. And I have many, many friends who write picture books, so I tend not to mention them because I'll miss somebody. Anyone else? Yeah, buddy. Oh, gee, boy, if I get this wrong, I'm sure that someone's going to be furious at this. I think I've done it maybe about 22 years or something like that, so it's going way, way back. But every Saturday, I don't know when it runs, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I basically have like Thursday morning till 12 o'clock, and I get it done, and boom, I email it to the Washington Post, and then that afternoon it's ready to go. So, but I like that because it keeps me on my toes and stuff. I trained to be a journalist. I went to USC and majored in print journalism and international relations, so I never took an art class beyond high school. I'm pretty much self-taught. Can we get one more question in there? Really good. You, ma'am?
Do any of your characters have cameos in later books?
Sometimes they do. I did a book for my editor at Random House called We Planted a Tree. It was a story of all these different trees, and there was a scene in Italy with a lemon tree, and she asked me to put in a red lemon. on the tree. So I did that. But well, listen, you folks have been absolutely terrific, and I hope you've learned something here about how pictures are language. I will be signing books. Let me tell you right now, don't ever trust an illustrator who simply signs your book and doesn't do a drawing for you in the book. Okay? In fact, let me tell you right now, if you ever come across an illustrator who just signs his name, you just need to turn around and just say, well, Bob Staake would sign more than just a name. Bob Staake would do a crime and punishment drawing on this page for you. So that's what I do. But you are all terrific. Thank you so very much. It's a great crowd. Thank you so much.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.